If you've ever thought, I know better than this, keep watching. So you understand why skipping meals backfires, but you still find yourself doing it. You're not alone. This happens so many times to clients that I have, to even myself. I've gotten in this trap before. And avoiding skipping meals is one of those things that can look super easy on paper, super easy after watching a YouTube video such as this, but then harder to execute in your real life. There's a misconception out there that just trying harder is the key. Just having more discipline, having more willpower is the whole solution. But at least for me and with the clients that I work with, it's more about trying differently, trying a different approach. And this whole back and forth feeling like I know what to do, why can't I do it, can get really frustrating because likely you're not uninformed. You're not unmotivated, you're not careless, and you are trying. Knowing what to eat doesn't mean that, okay, now I know it and I'm going to eat perfectly from now on, forever and ever, the end. And that's actually good news because it means you don't need any more information. You just need something that's going to fit into your real life. Nutrition advice, especially on social media, especially on the internet, is typically shared in such a way where it's like this is the one answer for every person. It tends to be shared as if everyone has predictable schedules or the same goals, the same budget, clear understanding of their hunger cues, and the mental space, the privilege to really be thinking about their food. In reality, we have a life. We have varied schedules. We have caregiving duties. We have financial concerns, budget constraints. We have shift work, chronic illnesses, stress, exhaustion, joy, hobbies, lots of things that we are thinking about besides how to feed ourselves. And when we aren't able to see ourselves in the nutrition advice we hear, the advice starts to fall apart, or that we have to drastically change in order to fix ourselves. Comment below, does skipping meals show up more for you from busyness, from stress, or from the lack of routine? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Healthy, I say this with many of my clients who lead very different healthy eating habits, with people who lead a structured routine, a structured schedule, to people with unpredictable schedules, to people with varying degrees of caregiving duties, either to themselves, to a partner, to children, or to elderly parents. And it's often a huge relief when they realize the problem isn't simply them. It was the mismatch between the advice that they're seeing and their reality. And I can actually hear with these conversations with people, when we reorient them, when we kind of reframe what's going on and what their goals are and what is practical for their life, I can feel and I can see and I can hear their sigh of relief of like, let's just cut out the noise and get to the problem, the pattern, and what are the small steps we can do to change it. The issue usually isn't self-discipline or motivation or even knowledge. Sometimes there's a little bit of knowledge. Sometimes there's a little bit of learning that needs to be done. But typically the issue is trying to force something that doesn't quite fit. So that could be like, meal prepping is really popular these days. And it's really great if that works for you. But if you're someone who's like, I can't meal prep for 5 hours on a Sunday and have everything pre-proportioned out, I don't have that capacity or that desire. Or maybe you're thinking, I need more variety than that. On day 3 of a meal prep day, I do not want to see that food again. So we don't need to force ourselves. That's not the only way that healthy eating or healthy routine shows up. That's just one strategy. And if it doesn't work for you, that's okay. So that's just one example. Nutrition principles are flexible in that how we can apply them to our life. So here's what actually helps. First, notice your own eating pattern. Most people skip this part, but it can be very eye-opening. Self-reflection sometimes can make us a little bit uncomfortable or a little bit like, do I really need to do this? And yeah, You do, because we need to know what your starting point is. So this could mean tracking for a few days using a free app or a free online database or even simple pen and paper. Something like MyFitnessPal would work just fine for this. And no, they're not a sponsor. I do not have any sponsors. When you're tracking, I don't mean necessarily counting up calories, tracking your macronutrients, or what people like to call macros, but generally tracking how you're eating, what you're eating, the timing of what you're eating, noticing those patterns. Like, oh wait, I thought I ate vegetables pretty well, but I actually haven't had a vegetable in 3 days. So this helps you identify a starting point of what you want to change. And if you're skipping meals, then this can be especially helpful to notice patterns of skipping, overeating, and maybe even lining up, okay, on these days where I'm not eating very much at all, I am very sluggish, I've noticed. So that's where tracking can be helpful. Next, I want you to support your energy before you crash. So this may take some planning ahead. But remember, you can start small here with a ready-made snack, something that you can grab and go. Whether you are buying a ready-made snack or something that you have pre-prepared and portioned out for yourself, or a small meal. Start small with just one more time that you're eating each day. The third thing I want you to do and to think about is to make decisions about your path forward based on your own constraints. So your schedule, your budget, your food preferences, your likes, dislikes, your own cooking ability, and any other obligations that may be popping up. So notice your eating pattern, support your energy before you crash, and make decisions based on what makes sense for your life right now. Not your ideal life in the future, but your life right now. So taking these first few steps is really helpful for gaining clarity and insight into your own specific eating patterns. This isn't about making huge sweeping changes overnight. That's a lot. That's overwhelming. But starting with small shifts, and especially small shifts that fit for you, they really make a difference over time because you can stick to them longer. And it's way more sustainable that way, especially if you're leading a busy life and are pulled in many different directions. So if you want more examples of how this plays out in real life scenarios, I have several more videos on this topic on the channel that go more into strategies to address that skipping and overeating cycle, and even some case studies that show some examples from very different life situations. So you can watch this next right up here, and I'll see you next time.